Well, good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, Andy.
All right, I appreciate you being here this morning. Um, I know that we had talked a little bit about as a district as we're using PAETEP as our our tool to sort of house all of our observations and use the director of special education moving into the role now of being an Act 93 employee and being able to do teacher observations now that this is an area where maybe I can help you a little bit.
Absolutely.
So, looking at, I know we talked a little bit previously, some of the things that maybe I can help you with is the formal observation process, as well as the inputting of student learning objectives in there. Would that be a pretty good agenda and
Yes,
focus?
absolutely.
All right. And I know you've been with the district, what now?
7 years.
7 years. I was here for 4, left for 6, now came back for 2. So we kind of both have different I don't know, experiences here, which I think lends itself to some neatness. And I know historically we've used PAETEP and it hasn't always been used by all of our administrators. And now with Dr. Graysick telling us that's where we need to be.
Right.
Um, how can I help you? I guess as the first, as we look
Sure.
at kind of our goals, how can I help you?
I think my biggest area of weakness is I've always been a contributor to the evaluation process. And so moving into the Act 45 process this year, I have to actually do observations and evaluations. And so I need help with the SLO process for sure. I've never done that. And then the formal observation process, I have a tendency to skip the pre and the post and just do the comment section. Um, so that would be a huge help to actually walk through what the start to finish looks like for in a full evaluation.
And it's, and I know when I started doing this in my last place, when I was observing, 25 teachers and we have 30 in this building,
Right.
it can be very overwhelming. But what PAETEP does is it provides you truly like it keeps you on track. It keeps you accountable because everything in the system's time stamped. There is, if you open up, if you go, I know you're on our building, if you go to Bailey Tetesta, who I already completed her formal, you'll see that if you go down to observations and if you click on overview, right underneath actions on the 1028, it's going to be right here. If you click on that, you're going to see, if you just page down and take a look, how it gives you the date when the pre-observation started, all the way through, like, here's the pre-observation questionnaire that she needed to complete, the pre-observation conference date. So you actually schedule that. There's the date of the classroom observation. There's the post-observation questionnaire that the teacher needs to complete, the self-assessment rubric that the teacher needs to complete, and everyth's dated and time-stamped, which really helps me to keep accountable. And the other cool part is it takes it, and I know you're very organized, it goes, all of those meetings go to your Google Calendar. So it all links.
Okay. Is the pre-observation electronic or do you meet with her?
So she completes whoever you're meeting with. So if it's one of your special ed teachers, the pre-observation questionnaire is completed first by them.
Virtually. Okay.
So they, log on, complete the questionnaire, and you can go in, click on view. So if you go down, you'll see that the teacher has to answer questions. So for example, Bailey had to, what is the content to be taught?
Okay.
So she writes. Then what I do, and you will do, I respond to her responses for each of those categories.
Wow.
And then we set up a pre-conference.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So that's that part that I, just listening to what you had said, that's the part that
I don't do.
And that's fine. If you've never been taught and never went through the process, then that would be new.
Sure. But then that would be what you're looking for when you're doing the observation versus me just walking in and not having an idea of what they're doing.
100%.
Okay.
100%. So that sort of is the way to get the teacher to think about what he or she's going to be doing in the lesson.
Okay.
And then you can use this information from the pre-conference questionnaires when you have your pre-conference meeting.
Okay. And how far in advance do you do the meeting and compare it to the observation?
Usually a few days.
Okay.
And I try to, I let the teacher have some flexibility. If they want to do it the day before, that's fine. But I like to do it a few days before.
Okay.
That way, if something happens, I know I had one of these set up, and then obviously the building principal, things
Right.
happen.
Things, right.
So it gives me some flexibility to ensure that we have that meeting.
Okay. And how long does the meeting actually take?
Usually 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Okay.
I usually use a planning period, but I find that to be
Yeah.
pretty helpful.
Okay.
If you go out of there and you go to the next portion, which is the classroom observation, and click view.
Okay.
So if you take a look, that's broken into your 4 domains.
Okay.
The information that you see here, okay, is pulls from her pre-conference,
Sure.
but also all of the evidence that I collect when I'm in the observation will go into there as well. So you'll see.
I think you had one that said you didn't see the learning targets.
Yeah,
I did see that one.
So what you'll do when you go out into the classroom is if you go in and started an observation for a teacher, there's a scripting tool. So
Okay.
you're able to actually, and I can show you that when you're, you can write everything that they do and say, kids say.
Okay.
Like, for example, say it's a question and answer session. Have you ever, I mean, I don't know how often do you really get to go out and see that?
Well, and that's the problem. If I'm going in for a purpose and I leave. I don't go in, fortunately, right now for observation.
And that's probably not been part of your training either.
I know. I've never had to do it. Now, I have used the scripting tool, but I use it after I go in with a paper and pencil, and then I transpose everything over into the scripting tool.
Yeah, so you want to save yourself a bunch of time. Right. You literally, when you are sitting there and say you're focusing on just a Q&A session, you can type down the question of the teacher, the question that the student answered, or the answer of the student, question of the teacher, answer of the student, and it timestamps in PAETEP when that occurred.
Okay.
So you're actually able to look at and see, okay, so the teacher in the pre-conference said, I'm going to begin with this anticipatory set, then I'm going to go into a Q&A, then the kids are going to complete an assessment. So you can see it all in real time as it comes.
Okay.
If you want, and maybe that can be part of our plan, we could
go with you.
Yeah. With Mrs. Tinker, with Rachel.
Okay. Yeah.
When I just completed her first one.
Okay.
Her first observation of the year, so we could set up her second.
Sure.
And do it together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you can do the scripting, and then I can be sort of your
guide.
I guess guide. Something like that. But it's you can't break it.
Okay. Now when you do this, you're dumping stuff in. Do they can respond to this?
So they will see it all. So every domain is going to have evidence. If you go out to supervision management, so you can navigate on the site here.
Okay.
So go to supervision management. Pick. I'm just trying to think of a teacher to pick here.
Lauer.
Pick Jake. Yes. Okay. So if you went into, so I see that
but again, I haven't done this for 3 years.
So you'll see, but you did unannounced, which you can do. You can use an unannounced. What we're doing is a formal visit and setting up and going through the process.
Right, and I've not done the formal. I've gone in and took notes and.
Excuse me, and that's okay. But what this does is it gives you and this is the point we never want to be, but if we get to the point where we have to dismiss someone or put someone on an improvement plan, now you have all the evidence.
Sure.
Which is what you need.
Okay.
So if you
here I would do it formal.
So if you created a formal for him and click yes. So this is the piece where you were before.
Okay.
You notice on the screen where it says begin and skip?
Yep. I always
skip. You'll skip.
Mm-hmm.
So in going through the process, you talked about the beginning, us looking at how do we work through that process, you'd click begin, but don't do it because then it'll go to him.
Okay.
So to begin the process,
okay,
he'll get an email. The teacher will get an email saying that it's time to begin the observation process. So all of this goes right to their email as well.
Oh, okay.
So they'll complete it. Then you'll set up the pre-conference.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Then you'll set up the observation. I always establish that date too.
Okay.
And then you work through the process.
Okay. And everything's done through email
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And then your post-conference is face to face.
Yep. The post conference and pre conference, and obviously the observation is face to face.
Okay.
But the others are done back in
Electronic.
your desk.
Okay.
If you go back to supervision management, I want to show. Can you click on it?
Yeah.
I'm messing things
You're
up.
good.
Go to Bailey again. So if you go to her observation again, go to overview, and go down to the observation summary form. So this is after we meet. This is while we meet. And you'll notice, so you'll notice the rubric. You're going to notice green,
Right.
yellow, blue.
Okay.
Blue is distinguished.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Green is I don't want to say average, but
Right.
is
Satisfactory.
proficient.
Okay.
And then
okay.
needs improvement is yellow. Bailey's really hard on herself,
Oh.
which she's an excellent teacher.
Right.
But what this helps you to see is you'll notice the areas that are blue, those are strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So both of us agreed on that point.
Okay.
So that was a strength, and we have to identify at the post conference components for strength. So what are strengths?
So the green means you both agreed that this was an area proficient.
Yep.
But for this, you said distinguished.
Correct.
And I see. And somewhere in here,
correct,
you had a little bit of a.
So you're exactly right. So you notice on the right, the yellow that you see, that's her saying that I need improvement. She's super hard on herself.
Yeah. Okay.
But you're able to have that conversation with her. And I'd rather someone, because you're going to get teachers who think they're distinguished and they're far from it. Because they show up doesn't mean they're distinguished.
Right. Okay. And then you took these notes while you met with her?
No, I wrote all of that up after. So this is where the time.
Post.
Yeah. So this is where the time. This is where the time piece comes up.
Right.
That happens.
Wow.
So you'll notice that I reflected upon all of the notes that we took throughout all the conversation, and I wrote up a summary. I usually give a paragraph.
Okay.
And then you'll see there's the component areas for growth. I focused on assessment. I think that's something everyone can continue to work on. And then the last area you see, Melissa, is next steps.
Okay.
You'll see that the SAS portal, the PD SAS portal, absolutely encourage you. Always refer to that as. So if you have a teacher who's struggling, have you used SAS?
Not in depth.
Do you have a login?
I believe so.
So if you go in and I can show it to you, the reading interns that are up here.
Okay.
Because we don't have a lot of resources for reading instruction in middle school, they're using the SAS portal for targeted instruction on certain topics.
Okay.
Because it will create worksheets for you. There's professional development available in there.
Okay.
You can get Act 48 hours in there. It's
really.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's something I can show you as well. But I will often put in there. I didn't for Bailey this time, but I'll put a link to something in SAS into the next steps. So say I want them to look at assessment, I might give them something in SAS to look at.
Okay.
For her, I said, next time I observe you formally, I want to see a Spanish 1 or 2. In particular, I want to hear the students talking to each other in the target language.
That's great.
So that really is the process.
Okay.
It's probably 2 weeks beginning to end.
Okay. Wow.
Now, you're not working on it every day.
And you're not doing every teacher.
But we're not doing, no.
Okay.
No, we're doing probably 10% of our population that way.
Okay.
But I think, for you, I think it'll be helpful. Let's do Rachel together.
Okay.
As an end step.
Sure.
I can help you with SLOs maybe next year when we get to it.
Okay. Because I'll have to do my own SLO.
Right.
Which
and I can help you with that. But I think to get started, I think the first part will be let's look at maybe you can take some time to kind of go through and mess around.
And maybe if Rachel knows I'm messing around, she'll let me play around with it for a little bit. And
you can go in and look at what I completed for her.
Okay.
But then when we schedule for her post-conference or second eval of the year, which she'll be 3 years here now?
Yeah, this would be her 3rd year.
So that's an important one too, because she has to be proficient.
Right. Okay.
Which I think she will be.
Yeah.
But do that together from beginning to end. But I'll let you do all of the.
Okay.
I'll just serve as your support.
Okay.
And I'll allow you to do it.
Okay.
What questions do you have? Is there anything else that you have questions about or worries about?
Well, worries is just making sure I do it right. But
I think you will.
I think my only question for this would be next steps. Is that your next step for like a walkthrough that you do, or is this another formal evaluation that you're doing for your, or it could be either, I guess.
So for our non-tenured folks, they have to do a first part of the year, second part of the year eval.
Okay.
So all of the folks like Bailey, for example, is a non-tenured.
Okay.
So I'm getting those out of the way.
Okay.
I always make it a goal to get them done before Christmas.
Okay.
Because when we get back after the new year, we have 2 weeks, and then it's the second semester.
And so this is her first one.
Correct.
So you still have to do one before the end of the school year.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'll try to get those finished. My goal is sort of March.
Okay.
To be done with that.
So then this would be just in general what you want to see happen between now and the second observation. Okay.
And then you can also, I know as a district, we've been talking about walkthroughs. Personally, and this is what I think would be easier. You can go into Bailey. I know we keep using her, but you can go into walkthrough, say create new walkthrough, and you can put in each domain. You could attach a document, hit submit, and it's already in PAETEP instead of us doing those forms that Jen created. Then it's all housed and it's timestamped and dated.
So you just take your computer document as you walk through, and then you don't have to write it and transfer it in.
Correct.
And then if Dr. Grace, he can pull or he can see and hear what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, both Jan and Pat, Dr. Nuzzo, Dr. Grace can go in. They can see everything that we do.
Okay.
So it holds us accountable as well.
But if I'm doing it on paper.
If you're doing it on paper, then you're more apt to lose it. I know, look at my desk, it's a disaster.
Okay. Well, I would love to work with you with Rachel.
So let's look at when we get back after Christmas.
Okay.
Maybe setting up with her. I mean, there's no reason we couldn't do it in January with her.
Okay.
Like
fantastic.
End of January, set up and work through the process. That'll allow you to kind of play around a little bit, for lack of a better way to say it. So we could do the whole observation process, and then I can be here to help and answer questions.
Okay,
Because
fantastic.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't have a whole lot of support. Going through it, and it's hard. It's not hard. There's just a lot of moving parts.
I agree.
What else can I do for you?
I think that's for now. That's good. I'll get in and play around with this, but I'm sure between now and the observation process, I'll have a bunch of questions.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.
See ya.